There's a scourge that's invading our rivers and waterways and is now having an impact on much more than riparian forests. It's cat's claw creeper, which climbs up and over trees, often completely engulfing them. Its trunk's attached by claws to the trunks of the tree, and they form a tangled mass as the plants head upwards for the light. The extent of the invasion becomes all too obvious at flowering time in September and October. While the bright yellow flowers may seem an attractive sight, they are an all too obvious sign of territory now claimed by cat's claw. After flowering, the plants produce millions and millions of seeds, which can be spread by both wind and water. The plants also spread by runners and have underground tubers. Notice the size and depth of these tubers on slightly older plants, but they get much, much bigger than this. But cat's claw creeper is not having it all its own way. Here at Gympie Landcare, a small insect and a resolute and determined woman aim to slow the advance. At the Lynn Brown Biological Control Centre, volunteer Gillian Crosley is hard at work raising tinged bugs, which will be introduced to cat's claw infestations. Gillian won an inaugural Mary River Environment Award for her work on this project and for her ongoing work in battling cat's claw on her family property near Gympie. A tinged rearing facility had already been set up at Gympie Landcare, but was in danger of being disbanded when Gillian arrived on the scene.
Yes, we found a terrible outbreak up in the forest, and I became interested in it. Came down to Landcare. When I was told that they were going to close the whole thing down, I just couldn't bear the thought, and we started renovating the place. There was no water laid on. We had to lug water out from the dam with our buckets and chuck it over the plants, and then a lot of people helped, and so it went from there. Well, originally they wanted to charge people $300, and I actually refused to get that, and I was given a couple of plants from the Brisbane Moggill catchment where they gave them out free. And then, somehow things got going really well and we got masses, and now we give them out maybe for a small donation, but if people don't want to pay, it doesn't really matter. The tinged beetle is a tiny little insect. You really need a magnifying glass. It's a little bug from, I think, Brazil, and it sucks the sap. These are getting infected really well. You can see by the leaves and all the speckles on them. But it's pretty slow, and really one has got to try and keep the cat's claw off the trees because and stop it flowering.
The trunks can grow to be quite massive. These ones were cut at flowering time to prevent seed production. And it's an important control, as Steve Burgess explains.
The thing about trees like this is, if you think about the services that these provide for all of us, they hold the riverbanks together, they provide shade, they provide habitat. When they're close to a stream, they provide energy into the stream with leaf fall. Magnificent things, what they do for us. And a tree like this, to try and establish, if we lose a tree like this, it's hundreds of years to get this sort of vegetation back again, and an awful lot of work. So it's a hell of a lot easier once we've got the main troubles off these trees. To keep these things alive, all we've got to do is come back and clear this stuff that's trying to crawl up and establish itself. Really quick And what we've done is we've separated an area around here, so we don't have to touch this stuff up in the tree. That's all going to die, it's not going to flower. And what we've done is we've kept this tree alive and we've stopped this one from flowering. Small amount of effort. We're not getting rid of all the cat's claw, that's a huge job, very disheartening in some places, but what we have done is kept this beautiful tree alive in a minute's work, so it's definitely worthwhile doing.
This old white cedar was covered in cat's claw at flowering time last year. An initial cut, then a follow-up with the Burgess method, and a tingered release will ensure that it lives on.
We released some about a year ago, only two pots in the beginning, and actually they went quite well. And then I got more from land care, and now I'm breeding my own, and I put heaps of pots out, and I was really heartened the other day when I went up. I do look after them. If it gets very dry, I go up and water them, and it's miles away. I have 7 gates to open. However, it's worth it. You've got to keep them moist. If you can breed your own, it's a really good idea. But here, we've been breeding them, but unfortunately, somehow or other, they've all got infected when they're far too small, only 2 leaves, so we've got to think up something else, put them further away, the new ones, so they don't get infected until they're big enough, and then we bring them into the igloos. And I believe it's very bad at the muster site, the music muster site. I thought it'd be a good idea if all the people at Camp Early were given a pair of secateurs and go and cut it. I'm sure it would give them something to do. I'd look after that.